This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. Magazine publisher and entrepreneur Judith Mancini is sharing captivating conversations with experts in their field about the latest trends in our ever-changing world to help you become healthy, wealthy, and wise. Judith Mancini today will spark your interest and inspire you to lead your best life ever. And now, here's Judith.
And now here I am apologizing for being late. You know, I was watching the news this morning, and I am a Christian who is weeping and agonizing for these families who are receiving the bodies of their loved ones today. I just don't understand how people can turn into such savages for so many years and not understand how they are not helping our world and not even helping themselves. What do they do with their children and their wives? I don't think they even care about them. So if you would take a moment today on your own time and say a prayer for the souls of these children and their mother and the other hostage whose body is being returned today. And ask for the evil in this world to be gone. All right, well, let's talk about the ever-changing world that Dean introduces me by every time. It is an ever-changing world, and what made me late was that Speaker McConnell was on the House, or former Speaker McConnell, sorry. He's been around there for so long. He was making an announcement that he will not seek re-election in 2026. Well, we already knew that because he's not Speaker and he's stepping down, and I think it's time. We need to change people. We need to change them. And he didn't always agree with the party line or the people who had voted him in. So I agree, at his age, it is time for him to go. And he did love his job, and he loves the United States. So thank you for your many years of service, even if we always didn't agree. And that's how we should be. Thanking people and not agreeing. For instance, how Doge is acting is another interesting thing going on. Excuse me. I post things on Facebook quite a bit, not just on my business page, but on my personal page, which is Judith Woods McGuire Mancini. Or Mancini, if you're more Italian. So I post them, and I had posted that I thought Doge so far was doing a good job of cutting our expenses in some of these committees and different investigations like the U.S. AID. And we do need to clean things up, because just like you clean up your own financial things, if you're smart, and even if you're not into finances and stock markets and other investments and things like that, you still need to keep yourself on a budget. And these overruns and these things for these ridiculous studies, it's been going on so long. I remember during the late 60s when they were talking about this, and there was one committee that was spending millions of dollars on how 3-year-olds could ride a tricycle because it had 3 wheels on it. Oh, sorry, so sorry. So, it's gone on forever. Who knows what they did when they were founding the country? But they were putting their own money into it. So I'm sure they were a little more conscious on both sides. So Doge is looking into the IRS. Now, oh dear, something is crackling. I hope it's not my computer blowing up. At any rate, I need a new computer. I need a new laptop. It's very, very old. To go back, they want to look at the IRS, and I think it's a good idea. And we want no taxes on Social Security, so that would be nice. But what I'm talking about is your privacy. I received, after I talked about that a few days ago, I received a post on my Facebook page, my private one, Judith McGuire, Judith Woods McGuire, and CD. I can't even remember it myself. And this person, who I have known for over 50 years on a very acquaintance type relationship in my high school class, she said, what is he going to do, meaning Elon, what is he going to do with our IRS, our Social Security numbers, and why would we allow him to have them? And they won't be safe anymore. But do you know how many people already have your Social Security number? I'm only going to list 5. Your driver's license, your Social Security number is given to people like anything that they think is going to make you safe. Credit cards. It goes on and on. Any government thing, if your passport, everybody has your Social Security number. So why all of a sudden do you think Elon Musk, the wealthiest man in the entire world, what do you think he would do with your Social Security number? He's trying to make sure that people that are on Social Security erroneously committing fraud are taken off. And he's found so many dead people for 150 years that are still collecting. Give him a break. He's doing more good for our country than a lot of people have in the last 4 years of the other administration. So going on from there, let's talk about something happy. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. Happy 85th birthday to Smokey Robinson. Do you remember him? How could you forget him? That was our era of all the songs, the good songs. He was a master, and he's celebrating his 85th. And if you want to have some fun, I was very early up this morning. Usually on show day, I get up about 4:30, 5 o'clock. I was watching all the different reels that people had sent him. It was everybody from that era. It was Rod Stewart. It was just unbelievable people singing to him and wishing him happy birthday. Thank you, Smokey, for posting it. It was such an uplifting thing. We need more of that. And we're so happy that you entertained us for so many years. We love you. That is it going on right now in the world. So one thing that Elon Musk said the other day was caring and competence are very instrumental in your success in helping people and helping yourself, taking on projects and becoming successful. And I think that's true too. We often forget that we need to think about others Think about what you can do to help them. Maybe you can't monetarily help them, but maybe you can help them by seeing somebody in a wheelchair or on crutches, having a hard time crossing the street in the busy cities and the cars are whizzing by and on. Maybe you could just take their arm and help them. I know it would brighten your day, and it certainly would brighten the person's to have somebody be so kind to do something like that. So make it your goal today to help somebody. Let's talk about our health now. I've been wondering why our country is falling so far behind. We are no longer number one in anything except death and destruction. And I want to know why. I just want to know why. We have so many chronic illnesses, and it's odd. Most of them are in women. Now, I'm a woman. I'm not a hypochondriac. I did have a mother who had polio, which I thought it was a little weird the other day when Mitch McConnell said, I'm voting against RFK Jr. because I had polio as a young man, as a child, and without that vaccine, I wouldn't be around. Well, there were many deaths from polio. My mother was not one of them. My mother was, maybe she thought it was worse than death. I don't know. She was a Christian and very, very religious, said her prayers all the time, was married. Her husband, my father, my brother's father, sort of deserted us when she became ill. She was in an iron lung, one of those big long tubes that she couldn't move. Tears would come out of her eyes. She couldn't wipe them away. And it wasn't for herself. It was for her children. We would go out to visit her. My grandmother very generously and graciously took my brother and me into her home. Oddly enough, that was my father's mother. He just dumped us there one day. So she would take us out to Rancho Los Amigos, and we would go see my mother. And it was in a big room. These iron lungs were on wheels so that the nurses and people helping could move them around to where they had to go to the doctors and different things. There was always a mirror above them so that they could see the people behind them. And some of them could talk and some of them couldn't talk. So that is etched on my mind. But what Mitch McConnell said, thank goodness for vaccines, I would still be alive and nobody died over them. But that's not exactly true. There was one other scientist, doctor type, who worked on a polio vaccine before Dr. Salk got in there, and it didn't. The first one didn't work at all. The second one was Dr. Salk, who worked on it for quite a while and put it out there. They didn't have the testing facilities that we have now, or the things that can help you figure out what the testing is. RFK Jr. is not against vaccines, and neither am I. There is a reason to have vaccines. It did eradicate polio. His vaccine did eradicate polio throughout the world. However, some people still died even though they had taken the vaccine. So be careful what you say. Always give a disclaimer. Always say check with your own medical and health professional. All I'm saying is to not vote for RFK Jr. to get him confirmed was a little shallow on his part, as far as I can see. He took one instance and didn't even understand what he was talking about. So RFK Jr. is not, watch my lips, he is not banning vaccines. He's looking to see what's in them how they are tested, and are they doing any good for people? Maybe how they are administered. One thing I would like to see is, I don't even know what they're giving babies now, but they're giving them a whole vaccine gun type injections when they're just tiny. All I'm saying is, if these vaccines are so strong that they will cause immunization from these different diseases like measles, mumps, rubella, all the different ones, couldn't we space them out a little bit? I know that's a pain in the neck for a mom, a new mom, or a mom with other children, or a career to get them to the doctor. But to me, it would be safer and perhaps, listen to that word, perhaps aid in finding out what causes autism and other childhood problems. So I'm sorry he voted against him, but he was confirmed anyway. And Make America Healthy Again is something I would like to see. And I'm hoping that you would like to see it too. But how far are you willing to go to become a member of a blue zone? Do you remember the show I did on blue zones? There are certain areas where the people live well into their older age. They go well past 75. The interesting thing to me is, I've lost all my notes. Every day I lose my notes. I just can't figure it out. Somebody comes in and takes them, I'm quite certain. We are no longer number one in anything in the health field. We die at an earlier age than we did in a couple of years ago. We're now to 74.3 or something like that in age, which we, here we go. In 2017, the lifespan was 79.8. Okay? We're 42nd in nations with good health, out of 274 nations. 42nd? Now, if you want to jump someplace, go over to the one that talks about education. We're on the bottom of the list. There's 40 that they list. We're number 40. What are we doing? We're sinking. We're a nation sinking. Thank God, and I do every day, that President Trump is now in office, and for the next 4 years, he's going to be working on all of these. And one of them is he's going to have a great person looking at what's in our food, what's in vaccinations, what's in vaccinations, and how they are tested, and what they can do. I mean, we were told that COVID would prevent other people around you from getting COVID, and that certainly wasn't true at all. So that whole story with Fauci is for another 3, 4, 5 days. I mean, it's a long one. In one of the comparable countries, they average 4 years more than we do, 82.5% in comparable countries. That means economically and population-wise and things like that. So we want to see how we can live a long life. You can look and see there's so many different sites on longevity and what you should do and what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat and what you shouldn't do. And if you're doing jumping jacks, they're no longer in, okay? It's spinning your arms. It's going one up, one up. It's one back, one back. Squats are big. You just look at the different exercise sites, and it used to be on Facebook that Facebook or radio shows or television shows or anything, you couldn't find anything on exercise, and now you find it on every site. X, uh, Facebook. Facebook is big for our age level, so you should do that. That's what I'm saying. But if I want to get into something else, I would complain about Facebook today, but I want to talk to you about some health. So I have been interested in health for many, many years, probably because my mother was a polio patient. My brother and I both had polio, and it was just the virus. So if you look at polio, most people would have respiratory problems, paralysis, and things like that. And it hit really hard. Most of them didn't recover. My mother was fortunate. She lived for many years. After that, I was 5 and I was 25 when I had my son, and she died just before I was able to tell her I was having a little boy. The son I lost 3 years ago. So there are different things. I noticed in high school, as we graduated and we still hung out with some of our friends, it was interesting to me that one of the football players and the year ahead of us, also suffered from polio. We had a lot of interesting conversations between the two of us about that. I've never had a girlfriend tell me she had polio or a family member had polio. And I've never had a woman, tell me that she suffers from the complications of polio. Now I'm wondering why they only study men. I've looked for doctors who specialize in people who had polio in their youth. It would be their youth, basically, since we're of a certain age. I can't find any. Well, when you try to talk to a regular general practitioner or family doctor, they don't even bother to tell you anything they know about it because basically they don't. Have you ever noticed also they don't talk about chronic disease, or if there's something wrong with you, they say it's in your head. Now, I find that this is told more to women than it is to men. I'm not demeaning the men, and I'm trying not to mean the doctors. But here we go, moving to the desert, and some of you have heard this before. Now, I had Epstein-Barr when I lived in Nevada at Lake Tahoe in Incline Village. Unbeknownst to me, Epstein-Barr was discovered there first, and it just kept growing and growing and blowing up until many, many people, particularly in Hollywood, because they're outspoken when they would talk about it, it has very bad effects. It has slurring your words, brain fog to the point you might be driving down the road and forget you're supposed to turn at a certain place and have to go around and do it again. It has to do with extreme fatigue to the point where you can barely get out of bed. I was fortunate because not only during that time, I was moving from Lake Tahoe to Los Angeles, and I still didn't know what Epstein-Barr was. I just knew that I was changing my life, moving my kids to Beverly Hills, getting married, which was a disaster, and putting my kids in private school. Did I say that? I could barely get through the day without going to bed. I was so sick. I found a woman doctor and a doctor who specialized in women at UCLA. And she said, I think I know what's wrong with you. I didn't have anything else wrong with me. But she said, you put on this, your former address, and I noticed it was in Incline Village, Nevada. I said, yes. And she said, were you aware that this broke out there and it kept increasing and increasing? I said, I've never even heard of it. So with that, she started studying it, and I did too. It was before computers and tech that you could have in your house, and also where I was going to the library all the time. And I kept following this doctor who is now deceased in Incline Village, not because of Epstein-Barr, because he was elderly. So I kept studying it, and it turns out that you can treat it with something very simple that is readily available, and that is vitamin C. Epstein-Barr can also cause mononucleosis. And lo and behold, my daughter, when she was in school, she got it when she was in like the 5th grade. So I had learned what to do, taking massive amounts of vitamin C until almost you have dysentery. You don't want to go over that line. And the best thing is be sure to take the powdered vitamin C. Now, be sure you check with your doctor and ask him to look it up, because I'm not giving you any cures or anything else. I'm just telling you about my experience. So go see your doctor or healthcare professional. I got rid of my acute Epstein-Barr, and my daughter got rid of her mononucleosis by following that protocol. So when I have gone, it seems a little weird, but in the last few years, the last nearly 30 years of marriage to my husband, being a CEO and president and all of that different things, chairman of the board, blah, 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 blah. It was in the health business. But after we got married, he decided to retire, and he was hired by a venture company to go turn some different companies around. So we did that. And my husband liked to buy houses for some reason. And I liked to travel with him, having no kids at home anymore. And I found myself having to go to different doctors, because I still, even though I owned a magazine on natural health and alternative health, I still believe to this day you should go have a physical once a year and have labs taken, blood tests, urine, and whatever else the doctor thinks. If you're a smoker, look at your lungs, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how you find out what's going on. However, I haven't found a good doctor where I am now in the desert area. And it's been very difficult even getting our insurance transferred down here and being able to see the doctors we want to see. You would think in an area that was home to many Native American tribes and with a large Mexican population, that people would be more into alternative health, and there would be more doctors who believe in that. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because when we came down here, my husband had already had a problem with his circulation. And 27 years ago, something like that, he had a single bypass. So he seems to be in great health, except one time circulation almost stopped. So we rushed him to the hospital. He was taken care of. What I'm getting at is these doctors, and they were good doctors, put him on Xarelto, which is 1 pill a day for him, and it's $600 if your insurance doesn't pay for it. $600 a month. And then they put him on some other things. I'm a big supplement, vitamin, herbs, whatever you can do to take those. And I do take those. And he did too, until I didn't want any conflict with these heavy duty pills. Now he's fine. He takes the Xarelto, but that's because he was taking from the original GP, general practitioner, family doctor, which our insurance required us to have. I'm a real uneducated person when it comes to insurance because our business has always covered us with insurance. We were very fortunate, so I never had a problem with it. This has been nothing but a problem and expensive. They had my husband on 5 different prescriptions. Now, here I am. I don't have anything in my medicine cabinet except my thyroid medication, which I'm getting ready to get rid of. Okay, I'm not even sure why I was on it in the first place. Yes, I get blood tests. So, what I'm saying is, he now has 1 prescription, the Xarelto, and 1 other. It's a statin. So I put him on CoQ10. The doctors who put him on these things didn't even put him on CoQ10. They had never heard of the fact that if you're on statins, it depletes your CoQ10. Now, it's necessary to have CoQ10. I'm not going to go and give you a lecture on all each and everything today. But I'm saying that I think you're going to find there are alternative ways to manage your health and figure out what's going on. And that's only going to get better as RFK hangs in there to make America healthy again as he looks at what's in our food supply. Now, I know I'm going to get all sorts of comments to me, but our food is nothing like they eat in places like Europe, Asia, Mexico. I usually lose weight when I go to Mexico because it's so darn healthy. They eat lots of fish, even within the interior. And they have beef, and they eat beef, and they raise their beef. And they have their vegetables that they grow, many that are sent to our country, like avocado, for avocado oil, and to eat the avocado itself. They eat a cleaner diet than we do. Did you know that Taco Bell and Del Taco are not real Mexican foods? They fry everything. Just think about what they put into it. And McDonald's? Okay, just think about it. Now, I like a McDonald's quarter pounder once in a while, and I love their French fries. And that's because they fry them in horrible things. You can get addicted to it. I know you can. So stay away from it. So I think all of this is going to come about because RFK Jr. is going to be looking at everything, and with your help, we will make America healthy again. We won't have the number of obese children and the number of obese adults. We will have people living longer, but healthier, where they'll be happy, they'll be up walking around. We don't want to be obese. Now, check out your BMI and see, look it up on the internet. Now I want to talk about what I just mentioned, kind of chronic dormant diseases and how long they linger and what is happening to you. I think you need to take some of these tests that the new medicine that has become very popular in the United States called functional health. And they have a lot of things that you should be tested for. High sensitivity C reactive protein that shows you about your cholesterol, white blood cell counts, that shows you uh, immune deficiencies, and if you're fighting something like a disease, your lymphocytes to make sure you don't have lymph node problems. These are just my salvatory glands because even though I have upped my hydration, now living in the desert, and I've always had lots of water to drink, I need to do it a little more because they are getting a little more swollen. Cortisol. See if your cortisol is up because you're stressed out all the time. So there are different things that you should be tested for and see if that's why you're not feeling well. But what I'm going to tell you next is I have been for the last year looking at different side hustles for my friends. I've had very many different people coming on my show and talking about their side hustle. They may have another job. They may be a stay-at-home mother. They could be somebody who's into philanthropy, and work every day with that. So I recently had this group on that writes their own songs, beautiful music. You may have heard them. And Jeff Bonilla, who writes music, but he also writes novels that talk about law enforcement and very funny tongue-in-cheek kind of stuff sometimes. And his partner in crime novels, Charlie, and somebody else you may have heard of, Georgie Donovan. They have come on my show a couple times because of their creativity and all. And lo and behold, one day, Georgie Donovan said, have you heard of this company? It's been around a long time, but it's now just gaining a lot of steam and people are more into it and people are having such great results. And I said, well, what is it? And she said, it's LifeWave, LIFEWAVE. So now you'll see scrolling across me. You can reach it at lifewave.com/Judith Mancini. That is my particular site on LifeWave. So let me back up to what I thought about it. I get on there under her name and I'm looking at it and I said, Therese Santos, what's she doing on here? Well, she is somebody I met from eWomen, the largest women's networking organization in the United States, if not the world. It's huge. And I met her at that time. She was just getting ready to move back east again. I think she was in Orange County at the time. That's how we met. She was coming on my show, but she had an emergency and we had to cancel that show. So I kind of lost track of her. So I'm looking at LifeWave and I'm going, oh, wait, I know her. So I told Georgie. And she said, well, are you going to join? And I said, no, I'm very skeptical of this. What are you talking about? Patches. Patches, they're not even an inch across. They're very tiny. What can they do? She said, it's phototherapy. I said, oh, I'm into alternative health and all, but I don't know about phototherapy. Give me a break. She said, just look at the site. Start looking at it, start reading it, and see what you think of it. So I learned more and I read the biography of David Schmidt and a thing called X39. That's a little tiny patch. It's just so tiny and you put it on the back of your neck down a tiny bit and it makes you feel better. I've been pretty stressed out lately and no energy. And I don't know if it's because I'm sick. I don't believe I'm sick. I believe I'm just stressed out. I've had too much on my plate, losing my son, moving, having my husband have a circulation problem. Having my daughter change from being a nurse in the NICU to being a different kind of nurse, becoming a business person nurse. Just so many things. And my husband's obviously retired at 79, and he doesn't do too much. So it's constant that I'm with him. And I'm just no energy. I'm thinking, okay, all right, Georgie, I'll help you out. Like so many of these direct marketing things do. I'll help you out. So I get on there, and under Georgie's name, Georgie Donovan, I order X39 patch. And I did something else. I also ordered X49 patch. And what I did was I put them under my neck here. You can put them in different places. They're basically put on acupressure points. And I got the X49 and I put it on. Now, this is for general well-being, and it calmed me down. It took away so much of my feelings of anxiety and gave me more energy and just made me feel glowing again so that I could do something. Well, I have become a dedicated fan of LifeWave, and I now have my little LifeWave thing that you can see scrolling across here. So you go to lifewave.com/Judith Mancini, and you can punch into the different things, our story, our shop, this and that, and everything else. So this is two-pronged and exactly what I was looking for my audience and for myself, since I'm also retired. We have Social Security payments and our little savings, and we want to remain being healthy and vibrant and traveling and doing all sorts of things. I am not a person who could sit still, except when I'm exhausted. So I have become such a fan of it, and I now have my little site, and I invite you to look at it and see what you think and join it. But at first, I want to tell you a little more about it, and pretty soon, hopefully in the next week or so, I will be doing a webinar and interviewing some of the people with LifeWave. David Schmidt was driven by innovation and proven by science. LifeWave is a patented life technology. David Schmidt is the CEO and board of director, chairman, and all of these things. He is the guy who worked for the Army or Navy inventing things for them for quite a while. And when his contract with them was up and they had succeeded in what they were doing, he has devoted his life to LifeWave. And the things he's coming out with are unbelievable. So it's a company dedicated to honoring the light of life and maximizing your potential while holding true to its values of high product standards, leading with service, being socially responsible, and striving to make a difference through unprecedented humanitarian advancement. Well, boy, was I happy to see this, because it fit everything I wanted in a side hustle. I didn't want to just pin on a pretty face and do little commercials for other people's products and things. Although I did get a call back for a Target commercial the other day. I was flabbergasted at my age. Come on. Okay, so I think it was the LifeWave that had to do with it. So let me read a couple things about LifeWave today to spark your interest. And then when we're off air, I want you to go to that lifewave.com/JudithMancini.com. And be sure you can ask your doctors, but most doctors don't believe in this because they can't take the time to read it. However, we are now getting a lot of doctors to sign up, and they're prescribing them, telling their patients about them, and their patients are joining in. Everybody's feeling so much better. let me see. The brand purpose is to empower you to live in the light, maximizing your human potential and with patented life technology that enhances your life. So this guy is the founder, chairman of the board, and the CEO, I believe now. He does have a staff. They just built a new training center in Utah. Everybody's going out there to see it. I've joined it. I just can't even begin to tell you every single thing that goes on with LifeWave. But I will tell you, I just told you my experience with it. And I'm very happy. And I keep looking and learning every day from this. I learned about their ice wave. Their ice wave is a pain reliever. And my husband, from his days before he was CEO and before he was president and all of the good stuff, he used to schlep his bags around from city to city before he get on the airplane, before he get in the car. He had to rent to drive all over. He was climbing the ladder to success as a manager and then a VP. I'm only telling you this because what happened was this was before rolling suitcases and things like that. So you'd have maybe your big briefcase hanging on one shoulder and on the other, your big duffel bag with your clothes in it, and maybe your garment bag. You would have all these things. And if you wanted to be able to do anything, you put your excess baggage in your left hand. He was right-handed. He always felt better having things in it. That's how he played golf. He's right-handed. So with all that wear and tear on him, eventually, and it's just been recently in the last year and a half, he got this pain in his shoulder. And I've taken him to the chiropractor, and it helps for a little bit. And it doesn't help anymore. So you keep going to the chiropractor and all of that. I don't know what's wrong with my phone today. I'm so sorry. So the other day, a couple weeks ago, I said, I'm going to get you one of these LifeWave things. Now, he was skeptical. He said, Judith, don't bother. And I said, no, I am going to bother. So I ordered some. They came right away. And the acupressure point where your shoulder hurts, it comes with a little pamphlet that shows you how to use it, where to put it on the acupressure point, how to wear it, how long you can wear it, what you should feel. I am not kidding you. He hardly ever wears one now. It has taken the pain right away. If I forget to patch him in the morning because he still can't do full range of motion with this right shoulder that he wrecked, and no, it's been x-rayed and all, he doesn't have a broken bone or anything in there. He gets that patch on, and now he's a happy camper. So wait till I put some on that give him general health improvement, and he starts running around the house. This stuff really works. And now, not only can you buy these for yourself on my site, but you can also sign up to be one of the brand people that sells it. So that's why I gave you my site. I urge you to at least read it. You will not believe it. Where else can you buy something that's going to enhance your life with better health, better peace of mind, better everything in your life, enthusiasm? Take away that pain in your shoulder. Now, these are not any kind of medical devices. It's phototherapy, where it takes the heat from your body, brings in the light that stimulates your cells and improves it and gets those stem cells that walk over there. So remember, go to that little place lifewave.com/Judith Mancini. There it is scrolling across. So try that, at least look at it for your own health. Thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. I apologize for my disorganization and being late, but I'm not a robot. I am not designed by AI. I am me. Thank you. Have a beautiful weekend. And remember, cherish yesterday, dream tomorrow, and live today.